Wait, what is this? For Bruce?
Yes.
Good to see you, Isaac.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for coming.
Hey.
Hi.
Thanks for coming too.
What's up, print hustlers? Bruce from Printavo, simple shop management software. Today we're with Isaac.
Hi.
And Stefanie's out walking their dog. But we are at Antic Screen Printing all the way in beautiful Austin, Texas. We're hanging out. They actually came in. They're not open on Saturdays, but they wanted to hang out and be able to show us around, so we're really pumped about that. All right, let's go take a look. Is that a paper cutter?
That's a paper cutter. It actually works. We still cut paper with it sometimes.
Really? Or like a miniature guillotine or some sort.
Yeah.
How'd you guys start the business?
I went to design school and I started making myself t-shirts.
Okay.
And then no one would hire me, so I made t-shirts for myself and people started buying them. I met other businesses that wanted t-shirts made for themselves. So then I started doing that. And then I moved to Texas. And then I stopped making my own t-shirts and just started this new business over again to start a production shop. Like,
Interesting.
how did I start? As I just took the equipment that I had and just all of my extra cash just kept going into the business.
What do you feel like was the difficult part of that?
Learning how to manage like business while knowing how to make art and t-shirts.
Got it.
Yeah.
So tackling the business end of it, which was a new area since you had the artwork.
Yeah,
side of the reps.
and managing cash flow, Stefanie,
Mhm.
was just always a huge problem.
Was there
And the ups and downs of
the business?
that, yeah.
Any things that you've learned now that you would have done earlier in that management of cash flow or business side?
I'm sure there's stuff I would have done differently, but
Yeah.
it's been fun. I just wouldn't have done it differently, you know what I mean?
That's fair.
It's like I want to say like focus on sales more instead of on art all the time.
Uh-huh.
That would probably have made things easier because that's what I hear people say, but I feel more of an artist than I feel of a salesperson, so.
Sure. Is Stefanie more of the sales end then? Or like do you guys complement each other in that regard where you're focusing a lot heavy on the art side?
I focus more on the production side, really, and the art side there, and then she's been more on the like operational side and customer experience side, and which is on the sales end,
Yeah.
if you will. Prior to last year, we were like 50-50 contract work, and this year we like completely grew the retail side of things, and
Why'd
that's
you make
exactly
that
what we
decision?
wanted. Work for half as much effort and make the same amount of money. We've been like revamping the whole process in order to do that,
Got it.
and
What were like the biggest changes to have to go in that direction?
so everything. So I started this business just like being like, cool, like I'm just gonna make t-shirts and figure it out as I go. And
Right.
I brought her on and it was like, cool, this is too big for me to manage. It's all up here. And so we put it all on paper.
Uh-huh.
I was using Printavo. I was using this system that we were trying to implement, and there's so many features, but I was just failing at actually putting them into practice. And so I kind of told her the vision of like, this is what I think we can do, and then she was like, yeah, we can do that, but we can do like so much more. And she
Gotcha.
had to just pull out all of the information from my head, and since she had no knowledge of printing, it was like really breaking it down to like, this is really confusing. Like, how do we make this not confusing anymore?
So you feel like making that transition, especially the more retail majority, was very heavily on the operational side.
Yeah, and her just knowing like, oh cool, we make this much to print a shirt here and this much to print a shirt here.
Uh-huh.
Like, let's do this. That was the easy way to seek customers. Like, how are we gonna go find contractors, right?
How did you get rid of, or did you get rid of, or did you just raise the prices on some of the contract customers and then they faded off, or what?
That sort of just stayed the same,
Uh-huh.
and then the retail just grew.
Got it. Okay.
And then some of it has just changed based on like, they were small time and then they just like moved on to other things.
Got it. Do you feel like you would have made all these changes earlier?
So I couldn't have done it without help. When I started Antic Austin, I was working with Ryan at halftime.
Uh-huh.
So my time was split like installing machines and like running a screen printing shop. Contract work was like super easy. It was like, cool, receive an email, print these shirts, and it's like my guys could pretty much just do that without me really being there. And then the retail stuff had to be like kind of like managed by me, because then I was in the front of the house. I was doing all the sales stuff. So when I transitioned out of working with Ryanet, it was like, well, cool, now we have to make more money. Like, we have to sell more stuff. Let's sell retail. And then we got this bigger space. It was like, now we have more overhead. We have to make more money, otherwise this isn't going to work.
Right.
Business isn't about staying the same size. It kind of like just grows inherently. And
Yeah.
plus, the old shop had no airflow. Screen printing shops are hot, and Texas is hot, and so no airflow is like, it was
burning plastic saws.
really hot.
Is he ready to come in too? By the way, did you guys just get married or engaged?
Yeah, we just got married.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
We actually skipped our honeymoon to do that big job last week.
Oh, really? Is this where you guys are counting all the garments? Do all the shirts come in from that loading dock there?
The shirts come in there. They go back on that rack when they're done.
Oh, over here. Oh, to be shipped out?
Yeah. Dark room. So we got an AC unit, fan, and a dehumidifier, because it's Texas and it can get hot and humid, to help us dry faster. We got a stereo so that you can be entertained while you're in here.
Yeah.
We have our PRU for our rock, and
Got it.
kind of like some guidelines here.
Is this for helping to train people too?
Yeah. Films, storage.
Do you guys store them here or keep them or
Yeah.
toss them?
We keep them by customer. So, and then there's alphabetical on that side.
Got it.
And then here's our
For reorders?
compressor. Yeah, for reorders.
So did you guys ever have a manual or did you just go straight to an auto?
Oh, I started with a manual. I actually started with just a table and a screen, and I would put the screen on the table
Oh, okay.
and a squeegee on a thing, and then like
Pull it.
set the squeegee down, set the screen down, move the t-shirt.
Okay.
There was no like dressing the garment or anything.
Yeah.
And then I had an employee who went to the Ryanet class and was like, Isaac, you got to watch this video. It's like this screen printing 101 video. And I watched the video, and I went to Ryanet the next day and bought a manual and a conveyor dryer and an exposure unit. And I wasn't using an exposure unit. I wasn't using a press. I wasn't using a conveyor dryer.
Just like a 4x4 or a 6x4?
A
Just
4x4.
Yeah.
With a joystick.
That was our first press was a old Riley Hopkins 4x4.
Yeah.
So what was the process of then upgrading to first auto, second auto? I mean, this is a larger press here too.
Secure loan and just give them all your money. And
Yeah, sign away everything.
Yeah.
But like, when were you like, okay, shoot, we need to buy an automatic, and then the first one, was this the first one?
This was the first one, yeah.
Okay, so this was the first one. So what was the process of then saying, hey, we need to buy this?
I didn't want to print hundreds and hundreds of t-shirts by myself anymore.
Fair.
Like, and I understood the benefit of doing it, and I just took the risk.
What about the second press?
Same. I just bought it before its time. So this was one of those dumb things not to do. I had a large contract customer that was going to help float like their business alone was going to cover the payment.
Okay.
And then their work alone was like, cool, they can just have one machine, and then the rest of the business can have the other machine.
Right.
And then they quickly disappeared, and then we were like, okay, let's ramp up our regular business again.
Got it. Because you already had the press.
Because by that point I had the press, and then they went in-house.
When they told you, what were you like, oh, shit.
I was like, this is one of those things I had intuition about, and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And then and it's like,
Do you feel like that forced you though to grow the sales?
Absolutely.
That's what's really interesting, is because it puts you in almost fight or flight mode, right? It's okay, let's go. Very cool. So customers come in, and then you've got like samples over here to be able to, for them to check out. Do a lot of customers come in, or do you find they are heavily on email?
Heavily email. Some people want to come in and like touch things and like see what size it is and try stuff on, but not many.
What do you feel like was the biggest challenge as this year is wrapping up that you faced?
Trying to really establish processes and like systems and way of doing things that was repeatable, that everyone like was on the same page with. We don't have to like have unnecessary communication. Like a lot of it has been like, how do we utilize Printavo to the fullest? How do we have this be like our central source of information where we don't have to be like, hey, like what color was this or whatever. Like just little questions should all be able to be found in the quote in Printavo.
Was it hard to train the staff too on those change?
It was a little challenging, and we had some staff turnover around it. It was either like we tried to explain, like, we're looking at a growth mindset versus just staying the same size, and then some people don't get that, and so we had some turnover. But I feel like it was a self-selected thing. Like for all of the people who aren't here, like I would be happy if they still worked here.
Yeah.
If they, like could kind of get on board with the vision.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of shops have this. How do you find new talent, especially on the production side, and retain that?
In-house training.
So no experience, no past experience, just train.
Correct. Yeah, train them from the ground up.
Where do you find people then? On job boards or friends or
referral, friend of a friend, kind of.
So like the training, is it? Do you feel like it's fairly regimented now, or you're like pretty good at it from doing it over and over, or is it just dependent on the type of person?
It's very person dependent,
mm-hmm.
But I mean it helped by training people how to use the rock over and over and over again. That it's like just train people how to use a rock and print a shirt. Like,
right.
I had to train a lot of people how to print from start on a rock, like with no manual printing experience either.
Have you guys hired a production manager, or do you guys do that role?
So we do that role. We were trying to develop somebody into that role, but we found out that they weren't of manager caliber. So we've also been toying with and playing with the size of the business and like where is our happy zone,
mm-hmm.
and then where's our happy zone currently versus like here's how much we pay for staff, and here's how much staff we want, and here's what we can afford, and where's that happy zone, and then seasonally how does it work?
How do you find that happy zone? Is it more financial driven, or is it more mentally, like I don't want to manage 20 people, or is it what kind of creates those bounds?
I feel like it's definitely quality of life. Like, what do we want our day-to-day life to look like now, in 5 years, and 10 years? Are we trying to grow towards being a mega shop with like 10 autos? And that's something that we've decided not really. This is a pretty good size of equipment for us right now. It would be nice to have some sort of manager person. We were just talking about this, just so if we were to go out of town, how do we keep the shop open? I guess the problem with being this small is that it would be ideal to have someone who could do all of it, who could kind of know front of house stuff and dealing with customers, and then know enough about printing to answer like if there was a problem with a job that we were running, that they could provide some assistance. And so that seems like a very hard role to fill, someone who could kind of do it all,
right,
and that you can trust to do it all while you're gone. So
what about you feel like just biggest win, like an exciting kind of milestone for this year?
Oh, it was last week.
Yeah.
Last week we had 9 people. We printed 15,000 shirts in 6.5 days. and
Wow.
then just hired staff part-time,
Mm-hmm.
crushed it out, and
Over the Thanksgiving holiday.
just in and out. It was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
It was fun to do. It was different. Everybody was happy and having a great time.
What do you feel like made it like really flow well? Was it, or like were you guys doing some special cultural things like, or was it just the jobs were flowing in and out really
It was-
smoothly?
Well, that was one. It was just one job,
Oh, okay.
so it was easy to like make one job work and flow, and just keep consistent.
I think we just really thought about like the flow because it was a front and back, and so we had fronts on the big press, or no, backs on the big press, fronts on the small press, and like how to get it to like flow through the shop. So it's like over here in our like receiving, and then just enough stuff gets taken out of boxes and put on carts and then printed, and then it goes to the other press, and then it comes out and it gets reboxed. That was not ideal, but we were shipping to about 500 different locations for the 15,000
Oh, wow.
shirts. So we didn't figure that out until later, and so we had to buy a bunch more boxes, and they didn't get here until Monday because it was the Thanksgiving holiday. And so we were like, okay, we're just gonna put stuff back into boxes and like reload pallets full of like already printed shirts until we get boxes here to
Gotcha.
ship out.
How
And somehow it all worked out.
was that a retail customer or was that
Yeah, it was a retail customer.
retail? Where did that come from? Was it a referral or was it an existing customer? Or?
She's been an existing customer for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. We covered in our last conference last year with just the shaving off customers that are either not profitable or a huge time suck or
We did that
just
this
don't
year.
really want to go. How did you guys do that? Was that raising the prices on them or was it
It was just saying no.
really just
Like-
saying we can't do this?
It was a combination of like saying no to jobs that we really didn't want to do that would take too much time, and just saying that this is like not what we're good at, and we're gonna have to charge too much for it, and so you would probably be able to find it better done somewhere else at a better price.
Just low quantity, high location.
Yeah, or like super customized, like, and then we raised the minimum this year. We'd like to raise it again.
What's the minimum at now?
25.
Got it. What was it before? 12? And do you feel like you would have made that decision sooner? Or was it a good time?
So it was 25 for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made it down to 12 for like one color jobs. But then that became like a time suck to communicate like, oh, but if it's multicolor, then it's the minimum's 25. And like, but if it's one color,
Because they wanted them blue and white, but on the blue shirt it's this ink, and the white shirt's a different color.
no, I would have done a color change, but it's like, if it's a 2-color print, then it's like, no, now minimum's 25.
Those were just the more complicated people, because you usually had to talk them up to 12. They're like, we want like 7, and we're like, we could do 12, and they're like, I guess we could do 12, and then like, just, this is like a super one-off thing where they're just going to order once, and so there's not a lot of customer like longevity or retention.
Yeah.
So a lot of work for not even getting a lot of repeat business.
Okay, so you also felt that the smaller quantity orders didn't drive repeat sales anyway.
For some of them. So we've talked about, and we haven't really implemented it, but what would it look like to get even more relationship based, like to be more like a partnership with these accounts who have a higher need throughout the year? Where does that look like quarterly meetings or something, and we look at your next quarter and like, this is the event that you have coming up, or you just have someone who is like, we would be there to help you plan things and not have them be so last minute. A lot of times people are like, oh, we have this event and it's next week and we just decided we should get shirts. If we would have met 3 months ago and been like, oh, what about shirts or tote bags or whatever for this event, and then like, we're aware of your deadline way ahead of time, we can reach out to you and remind you, we can like talk about it with enough time to like get you samples of things to take a look at so you can get like the product that you want.
Our quick turnaround, I feel like that's helped us just gain a lot of our business as well. It's like, people will be like, we called around to all these other shops, and we're like, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, sure, that's not a problem. We've just been able to keep our turnaround time like super low all year.
Awesome visit over at Antic Screen Printing today. Thanks so much, Isaac and Stefanie, for allowing us to hang out there and ask so many different questions.